there! I wanted to look into how China's history has influenced, inspired, and been distorted by modern media. So today we'll start by looking at how Chinese history is romanticized by modern Chinese historical dramas and historical fantasy. Then we'll look at Disney's Mulan and dig a bit into questions of accuracy and touch on the question of authenticity, and finish by looking at DreamWorks' Kung Fu Panda, which includes inspirations from martial arts films and from Chinese philosophy, specifically Confucianism and Taoism. I've seen a fair bit of in-depth content analyzing the historical accuracy of shows like Bridgerton or movies like Little Women, so I was curious to see what this discourse looked like around Chinese history. Chinese drama's historical influences include characters, fashion, and general imagery, resulting in a range of accuracy, including those which lean more towards historical fantasy rather than fiction. This first video mainly discusses poor writing and common tropes found in present-day C-dramas, but it also mentions that accurate costumes and settings are not a priority.
So in these days, audiences are demanding more and more from storytelling. It's not simply just about happily ever after or kindness will prevail anymore. Authentic costumes and lighting? Overrated. A couple with great communication skills? Boring.
Let's take a look at the next clip.
In this video, I'll be focusing on actress Fan Bingbing's costumes in The Empress of China, one of the most popular Chinese dramas in recent years. In this drama, Fan Bingbing portrayed Wu Zetian, the only female emperor in Chinese history. This drama series was a huge commercial success, but almost no part of the plotline was based on historical facts. But what about her extravagant costumes? Well, unfortunately, those are also far from being historically accurate. This is not what Tang Dynasty ladies look like.
LA goes on to explain how fashion in the Tang Dynasty changed over time, and notes that most of the drama's costumes are based on the middle and late Tang style, despite the story taking place in the early Tang era. She also demonstrates this early Tang style for the viewer by trying on the outfit and explaining the different pieces. Finally, this video compares characters from a historical drama to old photos of an emperor's court. While this video was made in jest, one of their ending comments points out that some people may not realize how C-dramas paint a prettier picture of history.
I think mostly it's really funny because before you show me these photos, I still thought that they look like they do in the TV shows.
In this video, Ali shares the history behind some of the makeup techniques seen in the 2020 version of Mulan, and she tells the myths behind their creations. This is educational adjacent to the film, using it as a stepping off point to share her knowledge of history. However, Sharon's video focuses on the animated version, breaking the film down scene by scene on its accuracy. They analyze the art style and explain how it takes from classical Chinese painting. They tie the character designs to other Chinese media, and list landmarks that are montaged in the film. They also include a number of notes on language, from writing in the film to the meaning of names, and explain different cultural standards or norms, both in the present and the past.
At one point, Qian-Po picks Yao up and tries to calm him by reciting Na Wu Mi Tuo Fo. The subtitles say they're muttering gibberish, but it's actually not gibberish, it's a legit mantra out of a Buddhist classic. If you watch Journey to the West, then you've probably heard it out of Tongtsen's mouth. Also, Qian-Po is probably a monk, who are among the only people who are socially allowed to cut their hair.
Accented Cinema's video argues that Kung Fu Panda falls short in representing China accurately, such as an excess of dragon motifs, but excels in capturing the heart and soul of the martial arts film genre through its tactful and fun references.
Kung Fu Panda is not a film about Chinese culture in general. It is a love letter to martial arts movies that the filmmakers grew up watching, from Shaw Brothers to Jackie Chan to Stephen Chow. For example, the entire gag of a fat guy doing kung fu is just Sammo Hung. The gag is also used by Stephen Chow twice. In fact, supposedly, Kung Fu Panda started as a spoof of Kung Fu Hustle. The chopstick fight scene is an obvious reference to The Fearless Hyena, Shifu's look modeled after Pai Mei, with those signature white eyebrows referencing, impressively, not the Tarantino version, but the OG.
Again, Sharon does a scene-by-scene dissection, but their interpretation of the film takes a philosophical approach, mainly focusing on how Master Shifu and Ugui embody Confucianism and Taoism. They give some insight to the styles of martial arts used, but in more of a historical light rather than in connection to other martial arts films, and explain histories of the Three Kingdoms, misremembered histories, and the histories of Confucius and Lao Tzu.
What Wu Gui says about Shifu's mind being like agitated water, though, is actually pretty similar to a passage in the Tao Te Ching, the quintessential text in Taoism. The original line is, "Who can make the muddy water clear? Let it be still and it will gradually become clear." Po trying to rocket into the palace with a chair and fireworks has been confirmed by commentary to be based on a supposed legend of a Chinese official named Wan Hu who strapped himself to a chair and tried to rocket to the moon via fireworks. But, thing is, by my research, this story was actually made up by some American dude called John Watkins and was published in the Scientific American in 1902. It was based on Western imagination of what ancient tales in China are like. It has no actual basis in Chinese texts. But the story then got translated back into Chinese, and Chinese people started thinking it was a real story from Chinese history. I don't know how to make this entire saga. It's kind of like how convoluted the history of Aladdin is. Ironically, even though Wu Gui's Taoist philosophy won out in the end, it was Shifu's Confucian philosophy that gave him the faith to believe in Wu Gui. Because in Confucian beliefs, you're not supposed to doubt your master. Wu Gui and Shifu make an interesting parallel to the legend of Confucius meeting Lao Tzu, the legendary founder of Taoism. Lao Tzu isn't his name, by the way. It's just the title that means old master back then. And Confucius isn't a name either. It's an English bastardization of Kongfuzi, meaning Master Kong.